So are we live? Yes, now we're live, and I'm very pleased to welcome Jan B. Hansen to the show. Jan is an experienced sailor. He can say some more about himself, and I think I'll let him do that right now. Jan, take it away. Who are you? What's your game in sailing?
My gaming is sailing is professional. I've been sailmaker since 75, I believe, and been self-employed since 79 with dance sails, quantum sails, and now North sails. I've been racing a lot of different boats, and for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years or so, it's been mostly double-handed and single-handed racing. I have a cruising boat, 45-foot cruising boat, which I've been raced single double hand a few times. But I've changed now to a Figaro 2, which is much more fun to sail.
Okay, and you mentioned it yourself earlier on. You used to do a lot more sailing with fully crewed boats, and I know you still do it from time to time, but more often now it's either double-handed or single-handed sailing. How come you have gone in that direction?
Well, I think it's a challenge in trying to organize and manage everything, or only two people on board. I feel it much easier, much more challenging, and you don't have all this managing with trying to put the crew together and finding 10 people just to go out sailing. I can go for a training session by myself or with my girlfriend, which is also my sailing partner.
Yeah.
Very, very
Okay.
nice.
So what you say is that it's you say it's both easier and it's more challenging in the same way. So of course, is it? Yeah, can you?
Yeah, you can say it's when you say single and double-handed, it's more about sailing than all the preparation. Of course, you have to be prepared when you go single hand, maybe even more. But the whole part about getting the crew together, trying to get a good crew to work together, you can't just pick up 5 or 10 guys down at the harbor and say, okay, let's go racing. If you want to do it well, you have to train, you have to get it organized in the right way, and all that part of it you don't have when you go single double hand.
Okay,
So
I know
I
when
can
you
spend
started.
more hours.
Sorry?
Yeah, I can spend more hours on the water, and that is really what it's all about.
Okay, yeah. It's so funny you say that because that was actually what we had Michael Müllmann through yesterday, and he said exactly the same. Even though he sails crewed compared to course racing, he says he gets much more hours on the water when doing distance racing. So I think that's maybe a good point for people to take away if they consider longer races. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have a comment on that?
No, not really.
Okay, cool. Now we're talking about the boat. When you started out single-handed, I remember that you were in the Silver Rudder with your aluminum boat, which is a totally different boat from a Figaro 2. Try to elaborate a bit on the difference between sailing or racing in a dedicated short-handed boat compared to.
Yeah, I can actually say my 45 footer that was originally designed for the O Star, the single hand transatlantic stuff over the North Atlantic. So it was actually meant to be handled single handed, but
Okay.
road came out a bit too heavy. But you can say when you go racing in a bigger boat, it's more comfortable, and compared to other boats, similar, X-Yachts or Lofe or whatever boats you have in that size, you spend less hours on the water in a 45 footer than you do in a 40 footer. So it should be easier, and it is easier until something goes wrong. I have my biggest kite on the aluminium boat is 180 square meter, and when things goes wrong, it's a hell of a mess, and try to sort everything out. And I don't get any younger. Maybe I get a bit stronger, but I get tired when you're struggling with big, heavy sails. So for 2 or 3 years ago, we started looking at buying a more competitive and smaller boat with lighter gears, and the Figaro is the most obvious choice, actually, the Figaro 2. When I tried looking for the boat the first time a few years back, I thought when the Figaro 3 was introduced, I think, oh, there will be a shitload of those small boats, the Figaro 2 for sale, but not really. There was a lot of people like me who hoped for getting a fantastic small racing boat for not so much money. So it's difficult to find one. Actually, I was pure luck that I got one from England, from something called Artemis Offshore. They had 4 of those. I got the last one, and nowadays you really can't find any boat of those for sale. So,
Okay.
but the fun part is that the boat is compared boat to boat with aluminium boat. It's faster and it's more fun, and it's cheaper. It's of course it's a bit challenging to say, but it is cheaper to have a dedicated cruising boat and a dedicated racing boat than trying to race in your cruising boat. I can say a set of sails for the Figaro, 5 sails for that one cost the same as a main sail for the cruising boat. So.
All right. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And
I feel it's much more fun, it's easier, and it's cheaper.
Okay, well, what's not to like, as we say.
Yeah.
Jan, I know you have you have done the Round Denmark race twice, I think it is, when it was called Denmark Rundt, when it was not that international as we are trying to build it now. And at that time, it was also a race with 6 different stages. Now the idea is that we want to take the stages out. There's only one harbor, and that's Aarhus. That's where we start. That's where we stop. And then you, as a single-hand sailor, and also, of course, the fully crewed and the double-handed boats, they just leave, and then they manage the what do you say, the race themselves, where they want to go in, maybe to make a break and stuff. Well, what do you think of that? Is that even possible in your opinion?
Yes, it will be possible, but it will also be dangerous, I believe, because there are not so many places on the race course here where you have the possibility really to go to sleep, and you have to be at sea, let's say 4 days, 3 or 4 days at least. And without a decent sleep, it can be dangerous for so long time. So that will be difficult, very difficult actually.
Would you suggest that we kind of maybe applied what they do on the Round Zealand race, where there's a kind of a that you get if you make a break, then you get the time a time benefit bonus back.
Yeah. I would for sure recommend that.
Okay.
In some way, because that also opens up for a tactical decision of where you're gonna take the break. But I think we have to make it mandatory to take some breaks.
All right.
But yeah, otherwise that could end in some very unhappy racing. Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions on how often? Now you have said as I said before, several races. How often do you need a break? Of course, I know that's.
I think you can easily go for 40, 50 hours with a bit of training, but that time slot starts when you wake up in the morning, not when you start the race. And I believe you get up in the morning 4 to 6 hours before the race starts. So here goes the first 4 hours at least. And if you have to go for 2 days, you wouldn't be near more than 2/3 of the route. So
Yeah.
so you have to have I would suggest at least 2 6-hour breaks during the course. And how to define it? Oh, that's difficult. Because it's difficult to say when you leave from Öresund, go to Bornholm. That's close. That's 85 miles or so, I believe. And then you have from Bornholm to Gedser, you have another 100, and there's no way to stop in between those except Bornholm. So if you pass Bornholm, you maybe have been out for more than 200 miles. And the Baltics, even though it doesn't feel so crowded there, there's a lot of commercial traffic. So it'd be difficult to get down and get a rest, get a decent 1-2 hour sleep. Really have to have some strong nerves to do that. So you have to consider the options and of course also the wind conditions we're sailing in, how fast the race will go. I've been sailing the course before there was where you had the what's it called? It was called Denmark round, where you could take a fully crewed. You could pick your own port to start and your own time slot whenever you wanted to start, and that took 3.5 to 4.5 days, depending on the wind, with a fully crewed boat.
Yeah.
So you're looking into at least 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
And you cannot stay awake for so long.
I think, in my opinion, maybe many will be like maybe 6 or even 7 days if they compete in smaller boats. Yeah. So
yeah, that doesn't make it really much better.
I agree, but it sure makes the adventure bigger, I think. But I think, as you say, it's very important to have the safety in place and to make sure that the people show good seamanship.
Yeah, but it's difficult if you have to choose when you're out there to be a good competitor or a good seaman. That's a difficult choice to take. Most people will be good competitors.
Yeah.
And maybe they can push themselves way over the limit. And
but
be good.
But still, anyhow, I think that what we have seen from the Round Denmark race that many people have pulled out when it gets too rough, for instance. So I don't know, but maybe if the task is so big as this one is, then maybe people are more humble when they get into it, and they don't maybe go out with that much.
That could be right, but when you leave the start line, your next call of port is the finish line, which is the same. You have no rest to look forward to. When you go in 6 stages, okay, there's only 120 miles.
Yeah,
everybody can do that, no problem. So you can always look forward to that and push yourself and your boat harder when you have a 6 hours rest within the next 100 miles or 120 or whatever. But if you have to go for 650 miles, I don't know when you would go for a rest. I really couldn't say. Because if you're going on a reach and your boat is going 10, 12, 14 knots, you won't take a rest. And you leave, for example, going port way around, you leave Gedser, and your next stop, that's Bornholm, and you will be there in 8-9 hours or so. You won't stop at Gedser. You will continue. Then you have to calculate, okay, maybe the wind goes with you, and I won't stop at Bornholm because I can still power reach at 12 knots back to Öresund. No, you won't stop there. So
I can see.
That is it's a difficult decision, and even then, when you reach Öresund, there's no places here to stop. Okay, then we go up against Anholt, but there's nowhere to stop there.
You're allowed to go into the harbor too, but of
Yeah,
course,
yeah, yeah. But that takes a lot of time.
it does. That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
But if you
Okay.
get some kind of time allowance, that could make it better. Yeah.
Sorry, say that again, please.
If you will give some kind of time allowance when you stop,
Yeah.
because then there are lots of harbors very, very close to the route. Helsingør and Anholt wouldn't be close, but Nexø would be close, Christiansø would be close. There would be several choices around the course.
I agree. The plan is that we'll have the sailing instructions and something like the basic rules up during the late summer, early autumn, so people can see what it takes to go in and to be a part of a Round Denmark race 2021 in either fully crewed or double-handed and single-handed. So, but it's nice to hear your opinion as a very experienced single-hand sailor. So we're gonna take that in consideration.
Yeah.
And if you have more advice, please don't hesitate to
Actually,
bring it up.
I do think you should try and talk to somebody which is experts in sleeping patterns and see what you can expect for normal people to cope with.
Yeah. Okay.
Without risking their health.
Okay.
And
that's a good
believe
idea.
It's that's about 70 hours or so that you really have to have some deep sleep.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your body will begin to break down.
That's a good point. I put it in the book and bring it along. Okay, I think it's more or less that. Well, maybe in the end we can talk about both. I asked Kim Andersen, and I don't know if you have an opinion on it. And I also asked Jena Mai, who is she's an early former Olympic sailor on the new keelboat mixed class. Do you have an opinion on that? Do you think it's a good idea to try? In my opinion, it's a bridge building project between dinghies and keelboats, but on paper anyway. Will it work in reality? And how do you perceive it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good thing. Absolutely. You have to have a little bit of focus of the cost, how expensive it will be. But I think the race format, that could be very nice. And with all the gears and electronics you have nowadays, you can easily make live broadcasting from the boat. And that will be something which our audience never have seen before. So I think that could be a great thing.
I'm delighted to hear that, Jan. And I think,
But I just want to, just a short question for you. Next time when you're talking to the childhood boat, could you please ask them how many miles their sails have been raised now?
Is that a commercial?
No. We talked about it in the lunch break today, but we believe it's the sales from the last Volvo. So I think they have been sailing about 50,000 or so.
Okay.
I'm sure Bauer, he will know.
All right, I'm gonna try to remember it, Jan, for sure. Yeah. I will.
Okay.
But with the positive note on bringing dinghy sailing, Olympic dinghy sailing, and experiences from the Olympic way of sailing into together with the keelboat and the offshore sailing. I'm really happy that you are positive for that idea, and I think we should just call it off from here and hope for the best for the future.
Yeah, we will. We'll see you next year on the start line.
That looks on single-handed. Is that correct?
Yeah. So.
Okay, I'm gonna close down the broadcast, and I think we have just one more broadcast today, and that's about the Volvo Ocean Race coming. Oh, sorry, the Ocean Race coming to Aarhus in 2022. That's with Charlotte from the city of Aarhus, but that will be on in like half an hour or so. But Jan, thank you, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.